At the end of the 19th and the beginning of the 20th century, the power landscape of the European powers resembled a huge chess game. The German Empire, the Austro-Hungarian Empire, the Russian Empire, the British Empire, and the French Third Republic, these chess players dominating the European continent, placed their pieces on this chessboard. However, this chess game was not a friendly match, but one filled with sinister calculations. The competition among the powers on issues such as colonies, spheres of influence, and arms races became increasingly intense. In order to gain an advantage in this game, they formed two major alliances: the Triple Alliance, consisting of Germany, Austria, Hungary, and Italy, and the Triple Entente, consisting of Britain, France, and Russia. These two alliance systems were like two powder kegs that could explode at any moment. Germany's rise challenged British hegemony. France and Germany had constant conflicts over the Alsace-Lorraine issue, and the conflict of interests between Austria, Hungary, and Russia in the Balkan Peninsula was on the verge of erupting. The competition of imperialism shrouded the skies of Europe with the clouds of war. Finally, the fuse was lit on June 28, 1914. Archduke Franz Ferdinand, the heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, was assassinated in Sarajevo. This event, like a butterfly gently flapping its wings, unleashed a global hurricane across Europe. On July 28th, Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia. Subsequently, Russia, Germany, France, Britain, and other countries, like explosives detonated by a chain reaction, were all drawn into this war. Just like that, this carefully arranged chess game of the European powers instantly turned into a brutal war game. In this game, there were no winners, only countless blood, pain, and suffering. And all of this stemmed from the greed and ambition of imperialism. When the trumpet of war sounded, the European continent instantly turned into a huge arena. The emergence of new weapons made this war unprecedentedly cruel and bloody. Trenches, these simple ditches, became the soldiers' homes and also their graves. Here, the tongues of machine guns ran rampant, and the roar of shells was incessant. Poison gas, this new product of modern warfare, made the warriors' lives worse than death. Those young faces hiding in the trenches were instantly disfigured under the attack of poison gas. Tanks, these behemoths, crushed everything on the battlefield, pushing the inferno to the extreme. Technology in this war showed its terrifying side. Chemical weapons shrouded the battlefield in an eerie mist. Airplanes cast the shadow of the Grim Reaper over the battlefield. Submarines made naval battles no longer limited to the surface. These new weapons broke the old rules of war and also broke the bottom line of humanity. They not only destroyed the enemy's bodies, but also destroyed the soldiers' minds. In this cruel game, Verdun was undoubtedly the bloodiest chapter. In 1916, German and French troops engaged in a desperate fight here. Over 300 days of fierce battle, 300,000 people died, and countless were disabled. Verdun virtually became a huge meat grinder, mercilessly crushing one vibrant life after another. After the war, this place was called a war landscape, forever scarring human civilization. However, beyond the smoke-filled battlefields, there were countless ordinary people's joys and sorrows. Those soldiers rushing to the front lines, those nurses disregarding their personal safety, those displaced refugees, they were all victims of this war. The war not only destroyed their homes, but also shattered their dreams. Their stories are the most tragic footnotes to this war. Just as the flames of war raged on the European continent, an event far in the east quietly changed the course of the war. In November 1917, the world-shocking October Revolution broke out in Russia. Under the leadership of Lenin, the Bolsheviks overthrew the Tsarist rule and established the world's first socialist country. The flames of revolution not only ignited the hopes of the Russian people, but also ignited a change in the battlefield. To consolidate the fruits of the revolution, Soviet Russia decided to withdraw from the war. With the emergence of a vacuum on the Eastern Front, Germany was able to transfer a large number of troops to the Western Front. The Allies were instantly plunged into a predicament. However, just as Germany was about to turn the tide of the war, the United States, across the Atlantic Ocean, made a decision that changed the course of history. In April 1917, the United States formally declared war on Germany and joined the Allies. The United States' strong industrial strength and continuous supply of troops, like a shot in the arm, injected new vitality into the weary Allies. With the joining of the United States and the combined efforts of the other Allies, Germany and Austria-Hungary gradually became overwhelmed. On November 11, 1918, the German army finally chose to surrender. World War I ended with the victory of the Allies. This war, which lasted for more than 4 years, finally came to a close. The outcome of the war may seem to be a contest of military strength, but behind it lies a deeper historical current. The outbreak of the Russian Revolution reflected that the war intensified social contradictions and gave birth to new political forces. The intervention of the United States foreshadowed the rise of this emerging power on the world stage. These changes were quietly reshaping the global landscape. World War I changed not only Europe, but also the entire world. It shows us that at turning points in history, new opportunities and challenges are often brewing. Every major decision may affect the future direction. This is the enlightenment that history gives us, and it is also the wisdom that we need to always keep in mind on the path forward. When the smoke cleared, people were shocked to realize that the world of yesterday was no more. This war, like a startling dream, shattered the old order of Europe and reshaped the world map. Austria-Hungary, once a European power, disintegrated under the impact of the war. Its collapse led to a major reshuffle of the national landscape in Europe. And in Russia, the rule of the Tsar could not escape its doom. The victory of the Bolsheviks set this vast land on the path of socialism. Post-war Europe ushered in a wave of national self-determination. Various nations broke free from the shackles of empires and established their own nation-states. Emerging countries like Poland, Czechoslovakia, and Yugoslavia rose like bamboo shoots after a spring rain. The map of Europe was completely redrawn. However, the resolution of ethnic issues sowed the seeds of future conflicts. The trauma of war did not dissipate with the clearing of the smoke. The path to post-war reconstruction was full of hardships. Germany's huge war reparations plunged this defeated country's economy into collapse. Inflation, like an invisible hand, emptied the pockets of ordinary people. Despair and discontent created fertile ground for the rise of Nazism. Hitler, that madman, rose to power against this backdrop. Meanwhile, across the ocean, the United States ushered in its own era. The war fully showcased the strength of this emerging power. From then on, the United States began to bid farewell to isolationism and move towards internationalism. It actively participated in post-war affairs, promoted the establishment of the League of Nations, and demonstrated the responsibility of a great power. World War I, like a watershed, divided the old world from the new. It shows us that war may destroy everything, but it can also give birth to new hope. Every reconstruction from ruins requires human wisdom and courage. This is the enlightenment that history gives us. In the face of challenges, we must learn to draw lessons from history, view the world with a developmental perspective, and respond to changes with a spirit of cooperation. This may be the source of our strength as we move towards the future.